Hey folks, Dust here, and I wanted to just go ahead and put out a quick little vlog as I am about to travel to Romania the day after I release this video to prepare working on the PGL Cluj-Napoca event that is going to be kicking off PGL circuit for 2025. Obviously, I worked with PGL last year for the Copenhagen RMRs, for the Copenhagen Major, and then, of course, I worked on the RMRs and the Major for Shanghai with PGL, and that was really kind of a big moment for me to get to work my first Major and to kind of, get myself back out there as I've been hoping to, continue working as a broadcaster in CS2. And I'm hoping that with this Cluj-Napoca event and potentially with some other stuff on the horizon that I can become a regular on the circuit once again as a desk analyst and just whatever other roles and jobs make sense along the way, as this is something I am truly passionate about and something I want to continue to do. I feel like I can do great things. I feel like I have the work ethic, the knowledge, the skill set, and the drive to really do something. And that's no knock to any other broadcast talent out there. That's one of the things about the Counter-Strike talent pools. We have so many incredibly talented commentators, hosts, analysts, interviewers, you name it, we have it in this space. And so it does make it incredibly competitive, and there's only so many slots available at each tournament. And so I know that in some cases I'll be able to find opportunities, and in some cases, there's just not going to be room for me. But I am hoping to really do as much as possible. I'm definitely putting in the work behind the scenes to always be super prepared for any opportunity if it comes my way. And this is that opportunity to kick off 2025 for me with Cluj-Napoca. And so I'm super excited to be able to work onto this event. So just kind of wanted to, again, do a little vlog and also talk about the channel a little bit as well. Folks, if you're not already, I would appreciate you subscribing to the channel if you haven't. We have grown this channel a lot. Well over 500 subscribers have been gained throughout the last couple of months, and I've broke past that 4,000 subscriber barrier. So really that next goal is the 5,000 mark. And so if you do enjoy this channel and some of the content, I did a lot of Roster Mania content. I've been doing some tactical analysis content, and I'll continue to do content where I can going forward. So yeah, just, drop a subscribe if you can. Obviously, liking videos, posting in the comments, all those things help the algorithm, help the channel grow. And so I would just really appreciate it if you had the time to be able to do that. Now, with that said, I do know there has been a lack of content on this channel lately, and I did want to talk about that very briefly here before we get more into Cluj. I really hit the ground running throughout, I guess, December and January, cranking out a ton of videos, really covering the Roster Mania, for example. But I also did some tactical content. I did some content about Eternal Fire coming second at the Blast Bounty. And so I was really cranking it out, but I haven't done anything, throughout the Katowice space. And I feel like I kind of owe you an explanation for that, because I was, again, really posting content regularly, and then we hit kind of a brick wall here on the channel here lately. And honestly, this is really a couple different factors that, came into this. For one, I've been being quiet kind of behind the scenes, just steadily getting ready for Cluj. I've been reviewing all the film from Blast Bounty and Katowice to really kind of keep my notes updated on how these teams are playing, what new roles players might be playing, especially in the cases of some of these teams who are phasing in new players like, for example, Jada joining Eternal Fire. They're going to be at this tournament, so I want to talk about that. Obviously, Elige coming on for FaZe and kind of the changes that they've made to facilitate that. Obviously, Virtus.Pto has a brand new roster essentially coming in with Icy and Flamus. Falcons taking the heroic core, adding Nico and Mages. So I've just been trying to, really make sure that I'm kind of on top of things. Even Payne obviously made a change with Davideus coming onto the team. So, I've really just been trying to work on that. And even now, today, the 10th, 3D Max just started playing their first online games with Body in place of Dejoko. And I've been watching that to try to make sure that I have that ready for the Cluj-Napoca event. So those are just some examples. It's just me really focusing in on trying to just get things prepared for Cluj-Napoca. But then the second thing is this, and this is a little bit more morbid, and I hate to be kind of a Debbie Downer on the channel about this, but essentially I found out that my dog was ill kind of at the end of January, but we weren't really sure how bad it was going to be. But then on February 3rd, it was confirmed that he had cancer. And then on that day, I had to decide to put him down, because essentially the treatment options that he would have to go through to cure the cancer, we felt with his age, would just be pain and suffering. And yeah, it might buy him a couple of extra months, but it would probably put him through a lot of just being uncomfortable. And at whose benefit was that going to be? Yeah, we get to experience having him for a couple of more months, but he might suffer because of it. And so this is an incredibly hard decision for me. I know there's kind of different camps on pets. Some people don't have pets, don't really care about animals that much. Some people do have pets, but maybe don't really, see them, you know, to the same depth that I do. For me, I've grown up with pets my whole life as a kid, but this dog, his name is Roku. I had him for the last 10 years. He was my first dog as an adult, and also my fiance's first pet ever. She didn't have pets growing up, and this dog was a part of our lives on a daily basis for the last 10 plus 10 years and a few months, basically. I would see him every single day that I was working from home and I wasn't traveling for esports events. Obviously, my fiance saw him every day. That my fiance saw, the dog every day when she got home from work. And very rarely did we leave him unless we were going grocery shopping or going out to eat or something like that. So he was just a daily part of our lives. He was a very important part of our family in our eyes. And it was incredibly difficult to lose him, especially because it just happened so rapidly. He was essentially fine, and then all of a sudden he stopped eating, and then all of a sudden we find out about this cancer possibility, and then within a matter of days he was gone. It was not one of those things that we were really prepared for. If we knew that he had some kind of chronic illness and that something was around the corner, maybe we could have been a little bit more prepared. And I know that you can never be fully ready for a loss like that, but this one just really was a curveball, and it really took us back. My fiance took the last week off of work, and so that last week we just spent a lot of time together, and just trying to move through that. And so with all that going on, I just couldn't bring myself to sit down and do content. It was a nightmare. I've not handled the situation very well. It's been very, very tough on me. I know for some people it's going to be silly because it is to them maybe just a dog. But for those of you out there who are maybe avid pet owners, you get it. They are like a part of the family. They are such a critical piece. I think sometimes you don't even realize how much of a role in your life they play until they're gone. It was a source of happiness, someone who loved you unconditionally, someone that could be there for you when you were feeling down or anxious, but also just be there to have fun with. So that was a tough one, and that really did kind of take me out of doing content as well, on top of just wanting to really focus on preparing for Cluj. And as far as Cluj now, we'll kind of pivot to more positive stuff. I'm really looking forward to it. This will be, I know I worked the major, but this will actually be one of the few times I've ever worked a big event inside an actual stadium with a big crowd. So that's going to be really cool to get to experience that. I've never really gotten to do that before, other than some like smaller DreamHack Open events where it's kind of more of an expo and the crowds are generally a little bit smaller than what you would see in a big arena. I don't know how many people we will have at this event. I know the 2015 Cluj-Napoca Major certainly had a pretty big crowd, and we're going to be the exact same venue as that major for this event. So there is potential to have a pretty big crowd. So if so, that would be really sick. Obviously, it's always really cool seeing the crowds at other majors and the crowds that you see at the Spodek for Katowice and the crowds you see at the Cathedral of Counter-Strike in Cologne. But I've never really gotten to experience that before, and so this will be a really cool opportunity to do that. We have a really great crew as well. I mean, a lot of people are returning from the Shanghai Major for this event, but then we also have Stunna coming in, we have Pimp coming in, and it's going to be a lot of fun. These are all people that I've worked with in the past. They're people that I'm friendly with, that I'm comfortable working with, and so I think we're going to be able to put together a really good product. We've also been working on some stuff production-wise behind the scenes that hopefully we'll be able to debut at this event. I don't want to spoil it too much, just in case it does actually happen, because it'll be a really cool surprise, but I'll point it out, when it does come out, if we are able to do it. But let's just say that I've had this idea in my head for many years about how I would like to handle pre-map analysis. So like after you do the map pick ban and you're talking about the map that's about to be played, and when you're doing that analysis about the map that's about to be played before you actually kick it over to the casters to cast the game on that map, there's this idea I've always had about how we could make that segment better. And so I've been working behind the scenes with PGL production crew to try to build something to really make the pre-game, pre-map analysis have just more cool visual aids available than just, us talking and having the map pick band graphic, overlay or whatever. Yeah, we'll still go through the map pick band, but there's just something a little more I felt that could be done that we aren't really seeing. And so if this idea comes to fruition the way that I have envisioned it, and based on the work that we've been doing behind the scenes to build it, it's going to be really cool and something you haven't really seen before. So I'm really hoping that does happen. Now, I know one of the bummers for people about Cluj is the fact that we're missing the top 4 teams, Spirit, G2, Navi, and Vitality. And that does hurt. I'm not going to lie about that. It would be sick to have all the top teams there. But we still do have some really good teams at this event that I'm excited to see play. Obviously, you got Mongols, who's clearly a top 10 team in the world that just placed top 4 at Katowice and top 8 in Shanghai. So that's one certainly top team still, in my opinion. Then you have FaZe, who were not quite a top 5 team last year, but they were kind of the gatekeepers of the top 5. They were kind of in that 6th, 7th place position probably a lot of the time. They still ultimately came second at both majors, and they had some other really good lands. So far, they came top 8 at Kato with Elige. And again, they're coming off that 2nd place finish with the core of the team at Shanghai. So I would still call FaZe a top 10 team as well, honestly. Then you had Eternal Fire, who have really hit the ground running with Jada. They came 2nd at the Blast Bounty event, and they were 5th, 6th at Katowice. They certainly had their moments with their core last year as well. And so I would consider them a top 10 team. So there you have 3 top 10 teams that are attending this event. Mouse Sports technically is still a top 10 team in the world. They were consistently a top 5 team last year, but now, of course, we don't know what they're going to look like with Brolin IGLing, and then this will be the debut of Spinks, as they were using a stand-in for Katowice, so Cluj will be fun, in the very least, to see what Mouse Sports looks like with Spinks and with Brolin IGLing with their intended full 5 going forward. I think you could still probably consider them a top 10 team, but they could fall out of it depending on how they perform. So technically speaking, let's say we have 4 top 10 teams attending the event, but I do think Mouse could maybe interchange with someone else depending. And then you have a lot of teams that could challenge for a top 10 spot. Virtus.Pto just came 5th, 6th at Katowice. Obviously, the playoffs run for them there didn't really give us a full view of them because they had Mir standing in for Flammus for the playoffs, which is very unfortunate. But they did certainly show some potential at that event that they could be maybe a top 10 contending team. So if you count that, that's potentially 5 top 10 teams that are going to be at Cluj. Falcons certainly have had a rougher start to 2025, but the core of this team that was heroic last year was easily a top 10 team to end the year. I mean, we saw that they were able to beat Navi and make top 8 at the Shanghai Major. I think they had like a top 4 at IEM Rio, if I'm not mistaken. They also came 2nd at that like Thunderpick World Cup or World Championship, whatever it was called. So they really had a strong finish in 2024 with the core of the team, which is, of course, Kixen, Dexter, and Tessus. And then they now have Nico, who, you would probably consider a more tenured and consistent version of Nerds. I think Nerds is definitely a flashy star player, no doubt. Great pickup for Liquid for, some firepower, and he certainly was the star of the heroic team that had that run at the Shanghai Major and had that run at IEM Rio and things of that nature. But Nico is one of the best riflers in the world and still has a lot of gas left in the tank, and I think Magus, you could consider like a lateral move for someone like Shush. And he actually has had some big games and still can pop off. So I do think Falcons, while I don't know if you'd consider them top 10 right now, I think they're pretty close and they certainly could break in. I think once they get more time together and they work through some of the kinks, I think this could still be a really strong team. And so in theory, that's another top 10-ish team that you have on the board alongside VP Mouse, Eternal Fire, FaZe, and Mongols. So yeah, and then I think that, Pain, Made in Brazil, 3D Max, these are all teams I'd consider in the top 15 that had the potential to maybe do more, particularly Pain, with Davideus, I think really could do some big things and certainly could approach the top 10 in my opinion. Made in Brazil had tons of firepower now with Lukosi and Insani, and, I think they're still working through some things. I'm not sure what their potential is, but they're still an interesting team in my opinion because particularly Insani is one of the best entry riflers out there. And then 3D Max obviously just made the roster change with, Body coming in for Dejoko. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. I think that it would have been better if they could have somehow gotten like a true star aggressive rifler because I feel like Maka has been one of the better fragging IGLs out there. He's a great op hybrid, lucky, pretty good, kind of flex rifler that is very consistent. So those two pieces perform very well individually. And I think that 3D Max looks very good tactically as a team overall, but I feel like they've been lacking like some really true consistent entry power. And certainly Gravity is like a younger guy that still, is inexperienced and could maybe form into that type of player. But I really felt like they could use like another heavy hitter in the aggressive rifling department. I don't know that Body is it, but we'll have to see how it plays out. And So yeah, I mean, I think there's still some good teams at this event. I think the production value is going to be good. I think we have a good broadcast talent team, and I'm really looking forward to going to this event and trying to put on another big performance as an analyst and really just kind of keep showing what I'm capable of. And obviously, also being a team player and help lift up other people as well, and really just put together a good show for everyone. Again, I know some people are going to look at Cluj and be a bit disappointed because we don't have Spirit, G2, Navi, and Vitality, but I think we still have some really great teams. And again, a really good team of broadcast talent. And we have a production crew who's really, trying to do new things, trying to build, some new stuff for the show. I know Richard has also been working on some other stuff with them to try to improve, the production value of the show. Every year you want to try to get better. And I think that that's what PGL is looking to do. Is this is kind of their first full year back on the Counter-Strike circuit. Like, obviously, yes, they did the 2 majors last year, but now this is really them being a main piece of the circuit and this whole VRS system and things of that nature. And, looking forward to see what we can come up with. And again, I know that the one piece of the show that I've been trying to work on, this pre-map, pre-game analysis segment, trying to build out some really cool production stuff. If it works out, if we're able to get ready on time, I think it is going to be something that no one else has really done before. And it's something I've been wanting to do for years. It's been an idea in my head for a very long time. And PGL was really receptive into trying to build it. And if it winds up happening the way that I'm seeing it and some of the mock stuff that I've already seen, it's going to be really cool. I know I hate teasing something like that, but it's going to be really neat if it actually does play out that way. But anyway, that's going to do it for this vlog. Don't want to get too crazy with it. Just wanted to kind of let folks know what's been going on with me, why the channel's been a little bit slow lately. Let you know that I'm going to Cluj and very excited to attend that event as a desk analyst. If you're going to be there, definitely say hello. It'd be cool to meet some of you folks out there who maybe are fans of the channel. And without further ado, though, I'm going to sign out, and I'll catch you next time.